Hello, this is the next session in the series on RBAC training within Applaud, and we're going to cover a fairly easy topic, this one, permissions and permission sets. So let's talk about concepts first. So permissions. A permission in Oracle is pretty much the same as a function. So you have menus and functions in standard Oracle. A permission is just like a function, and in actual fact it's so like a function that you can actually query these things back in the function form. And a permission, all it really does is it gives you access to a piece of functionality, very similar to the way a function does on a menu. A function will give you access to the absence screen, or the enter and maintain screen, or the termination screen. Okay, that's a function or a responsibility on a menu. A permission is exactly the same concept. Now, the only thing I would say is slightly different in the way permissions are used to functions is they're not just about menu options anymore. They can be a very granular thing. They could be like a permission to update or a permission to delete within the single screen. So we've got a couple of examples on different permissions. Example 1, the permission to search for an employee. The second one to search for a contractor or contingent worker. Okay, so that's not necessarily the permission to access the search screen, it's the permission to actually search for a select number of people within that search. Example 2 is maybe a little bit easier to comprehend. Here we've got something around photos, having the permission to create a photo record or upload a new photo, a permission to update, a permission to delete. This is probably the thing that differs from Oracle's use of functions. In Oracle, standard Oracle that you're used to, a function is a way to access a screen, and then you tend to use personalization to control things like can you update, can you create, can you delete. With RBAC, the permission often controls not just access to the screen, but what you can do in that screen as well. Then a permission set is just a group of permissions, and it is analogous to a Oracle menu. And in actual fact, you may have guessed, it is a menu. If you look in the menu screen, you can see permission sets and menus combined. And permission set is just a logical grouping of different permissions. There's nothing more to it than that. So again, a couple of examples here. Search for all workers could be a combination of the two permissions, search for employees and search for contractors. Or you could have a permission set that's got one single permission in it that only allows you to search for employees. So a permission set has to have at least one permission available in it. Another better example is something like administer photos, and that would give you the permissions to create, update and delete photos. So you might give this permission set to an administrator, someone that has full control over photos, but you may give less ability to a regular employee. You might only give the employee the ability to update their photo, not delete their photo, and maybe create wouldn't be relevant because you might upload all the badges and things from security to give everyone a photo to start with. So that's an example of a permission set that logically groups permissions together. So in terms of how that looks in Oracle, the screen's very easy. You can access these screens through functional administrator or functional developer. Just remember they're just a menu basically, permission sets. And in here I've searched for all the permission sets that start with the code XXAS. Those are the ones that we ship. We recommend that if you create them, your ones start with XXX to distinguish your ones from our ones. Again, we don't recommend that you change or use our permission sets because we might change those at any point in time. Permission sets are basically as simple as you can get in Oracle. They have a name and they have a code, and that's it. Of course, they have permissions underneath. This is a screenshot of that. Permission sets just contain a list of permissions, just like functions in a menu. So here's an example from our demo system where we've got the photo example again, upload, import and delete. If you actually look at what a permission looks like, Again, it's very simple. It's a name and a code. There's this object name. This object name is extremely important, but we don't tackle it at this point. This allows us to come on to data security later. So the object name is very, very important, but not at this point in time. When we get on to towards the end of this suite of recordings, we'll talk about data security a bit more. But for now, it's really just a name and a code. Now you can use the menu screen to also query them back if you prefer using this screen. Certainly, if you've been an Oracle consultant for any more than 3 days, then you'll have definitely used this screen before, and you can query back permission sets in here. You can also query back permissions in the function screen. You see on here we've got a special menu type that's set to permission set. That indicates that that is a permission set, not a regular menu. Now there's a little bit of a gotcha here. If you create a permission set in the functional administrator responsibility, they can't be queried back in the permission set screen. So what do I mean by that? So when I go into here and look at my permission sets in the security tab, if I create a regular menu, I can't query it back in here. So if I go to core services menu and create a menu there, I can't query it back in here, and the other way around too. If I go to security permission sets, I can't see these permission sets in the core services menu option. So, but you can within the form here. This form allows you to see absolutely everything, all permission sets and menus combined. So you don't have that restriction. But it can catch you out. Sometimes you find yourself searching in the permission set screen. You can't find what you're looking for. And the fact is you have to go back into the regular menu screen to see those. So it's up to you. Can use the application developer menu screen to view everything in one place if you want. It's a good way to check if you can't find a permission set. It's always worthwhile just checking in here first before you go running to support. That's it really. Permission sets are pretty simple. How they're used is the difficult bit, but actually permission sets themselves are pretty straightforward. So if I go in and show you how these look, you can use functional administrator or functional developer at this point. So we'll use functional administrator. Responsibility, it's the most common one. You can see on here under the security tab we've got permissions and permission sets. If I look at permission sets, query back XXAS. This is the group of permission sets we have. I'll just choose one at random. I'll do absence. Okay, and here we've got update and delete permissions. We'll find out how those are used soon. Okay, so there's nothing else to it. If I click on a permission, again, there's nothing really to it. It's just got a code and a name, and it shows you which permission set or sets that one is in. So if I was to look at, say, photo, I'm not sure if that's going to work or not. Yes, it is. Okay. So photos permission set. It'll show me my photo permissions in here too. I'll click on a permission like take photo. It shows me the permission sets that that's a member of. Okay. Now, where I was talking about the menu screen, if I just go back to the security here, sorry, and go back to permission sets, let's just take an example. This is basically a regular menu. I'll take a copy of that, go to core services, menus, put the name in there, no results found. But if I was to go into the core screen and have a look, I would see that. Let's just have a take a quick look at that. So I'm now going to go into application developer, just on a different browser for speed. Let's see how fast my menu screen fires up. Where are we? Application menu, there we go. So this is just going to bring the core forms up. Oh dear, looks like I've got a Java load coming. Okay, let's load that. Alright, good. So here we have the menu form finally loaded, and what I'm going to do now is just take that menu here and paste it into there. Excuse me. Okay, and you can see I've queried it back. And you can see that the menu type is of type permission set. Alright, so sometimes you do find yourself going back and forth between the menu screen here and the permission set here. If you are finding yourself lost and not sure if you can find one, then I tend to recommend going to this screen here, which shows you both at the same time. So that's a pretty easy session. We're going to do a quick exercise for 15 minutes. So this particular exercise won't take too long, pretty easy, just going through the same screens that I've shown you already. Do that in your own time, probably take 10-15 minutes, and then I will go through the answers when you unpause the recording. Okay, good luck. Okay, good. Let's go through this exercise together. Actually, all the questions here, just going through the same screens and data that I showed you, but question 5 at the end is an interesting one, and actually a real-life scenario, that particular requirement. So navigate to application developer responsibility, application menus, query back xxemp photo pset. It says here if you can't access forms, which you probably won't be able to on our training environment, then you can use permission sets. Okay, so xxemp photo pset. I think that might be the one I've already done, is it? Yeah, there we go. So this is the one we've already looked at, and on screen it's this one here, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, so this was an exercise in just going to the right screens, permission set screens, under functional administrator permission sets to get this back. What are the permissions in this permission set? What do you think they achieve? Okay, so upload photo. Probably just have to go back to Employee Center here. So let's just go back into Employee Center and have a look at this working. So on the photo here, you've got a little edit pencil. If I do change photo here, we've got 3 options. Take photo, which is actually this one here. Choose photo and delete photo. So upload photo permission is actually equivalent to this choose photo option here on the menu. Take photo is actually using your webcam or mobile phone, and delete. So these 3 permissions here and controlling this menu here. This last one on the list, import photo from the Facebook permission, quite a cool one, but it only works on the mobile phone. It only works on the phone. So it only works, I think it might work on the tablet as well, on the iPad. So that's one that doesn't work on the desktop at the moment. That's a funny little special one. Anyway, those are what those control. Using the functional developer responsibility query about the same permission set, click on the Applaud Employee Center upload photo permission. Now this is an interesting one. What are the other permission sets does this belong to, and what do you think they achieve? Okay, so we're at the right place. So we're finding this permission, Applaud Employee Center upload photo permission. Okay. So I'm clicking on this and it shows me, well, it's actually in 3. So the XXX one is just a copy, so we don't worry about that one. But in terms of the other 2 here, the first one we've talked about, this gives you access to load up your photos on this menu here. What about this one? ESS contacts photo permission set. That's an interesting one. So if I look at that, that's got the ability to upload, take, or delete. What's that doing? So the clue is in the name of the permission set, contacts. And actually this, I'm not sure if we've got an example on this screen. Let's have a look. So on the personal details, there's a contacts panel at the bottom where you can maintain your emergency contacts, and this actually allows you to, these permissions are giving you access to change or upload photos for an emergency contact or primary dependent. So it looks like it's taking a while to load, unfortunately, at the moment. Let's try it, logging out and logging in as somebody else. Oh, okay. Okay, so it's taking too long, so I'll speed through, but you get the idea. So these ones are allowing you to upload a photo against an emergency contact. Using functional developer core services menus, query about the same permission set. So if I take that name, go into core services, menus, let's go, it's not there. And so it's exactly the same thing as before. So in this menu screen, you can't see menus with the type of permission set. All the others are supported, and vice versa. In the security permission set screen, you can't see regular menus, but whereas within this form, you can see absolutely everything. Last one. A client has a process to upload photos from their security system. They want you to allow employees to delete their photos, but not upload new ones. How do you achieve this? So this was a real requirement for a real client. Nice little exercise here. And what the scenario was, they, as a customer, had preloaded lots of photos from their employees onto Oracle system. Those photos were showing through our user interface for the very first time. So even though these photos have been around a while, they were never shown before to end users until they introduced our application. And what they found is that because they were a public sector organisation, some of those photos were very, very old, so like 20 years old in some cases. And they felt that some employees might be a little uncomfortable about showing their photos that were so old and when they were very young employees and they've got a bit older. So they wanted to give their employees the ability, if they're embarrassed about their photo, to remove them. But bizarrely, they didn't want them to be able to replace them with a new one. But, you know, customer is always right, as they say. That was their requirement. And that's what we did. How would you allow an employee to delete their photos but not upload them? Pretty simple. You would go into this permission set and you would remove these permissions, just take them out, and what that would do on the menu, it would remove the ability to upload a new photo, but it would leave the ability to delete your photo out. Okay, good. That is the end of this session on RBAC on permission sets. Easy one. Now it starts to get harder. The next session will be on grants and then moving on to data security. So have a good strong cup of coffee and then come back to session 3 on RBAC where we will start talking about grants. Thank you. That's the end of this recording.